and you just don't want that to show through. I'm going to cut this. Now, of course, you could do this the traditional way. I'm just trying to show you what I do. So this is our A and our F. So I'm going to put that. And in fact, I'm going to just do this. I'm just going to do that so that it makes it easier. So if I go away, like say I go to lunch and I come back, I'm going to remember what that is. So then we're going to move to B. For B, we're going to make 4 of these. So instead of cutting the B and the I like this, I'm going to cut according to this paper. So each paper makes 2 flying geese at one time, and since I need 4, I need 2 papers. So I will need, basically for this piece right here, I need a 4 1/4 by 5 inch rectangle. And it doesn't have to be exact, so I'm just going to cut those. I'm going to cut it right here. So let's see. I'm just going to cut it a little bit bigger and then we have it. Start all the way over? Okay, so we are on block 18. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing, for the first step, 4 half square triangles. The half square triangles are going to go right here, and we need 4 of them. I'm going to be using H150, so I have put the 2 fabrics right sides together and put a pin. So that is going to be my A and F. For this, you can do this the traditional piecing way, but I don't want to do that. I want to use my paper. So I'm going to use the 1 1/2 by 3 inch paper, and you need 4 flying geese. There's 2 per paper. So we need 2. I've cut my fabric 1. And now we need to cut what's going to end up being these points. So to do that, I'm going to look on the back of my paper. And you need 2 3 inch squares. Since I'm doing 2 pages of fabric, I need 4. Is everything working or not? It is? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we need 4 3 inch squares. And they don't have to be exact, so I'm just going to cut them off of a strip. And on this, what I talked about earlier was when you're doing a block that has this many pieces like this, you want to get a fabric that doesn't have a lot of busyness. So I'm going to cut 2 3 inch squares. Cut them on the diagonal. That's what I love about this paper, is you can cut without having to be accurate, and you will have an accurate block at the end. So I'm going to set all this together. And this is my B and I, and I'll put a note. And instead of using alphabets, I'm just going to write that on there, and I will show you how to piece those when we get to that. So that's going to go on here. Now the rest of it, I'm going to do the traditional way. So everything else we're going to cut exactly according to this. So for C, I need 4 2 inch squares. So for this, I'll probably cut a 4 inch, so we need 4 2 inch squares. I will cut a 4-inch square and subcut that down. And those are my C's. So I'm going to put that on my board with my alphabetties. My D's, I need 6 2-inch squares. So I'm going to cut a 4x6 rectangle and then subcut that down. And the reason I do that with small fabrics is I waste less. Now I wouldn't cut an entire quilt like this, but since I'm just doing one block, so here I'm going to cut 2 inches. I'm actually going to go this way instead. 2 inches, and then since it moved, I'm just going to subcut these. Are there any questions?
No questions yet, but we do have some super chats and new members. Okay. From Catherine Burton, super chat for $5, and they put a little dancing pear that says keep it up.
Thank you. For E, I'm going to cut 4 1 1/4 inch squares. So again, I'm going to start with a 2.5 inch square and subcut that down. And Ashley's filling in today for Lily, who went to her wedding.
Our next super chat was from Troby Freeman for $10. And there's a cute little pear that's like, it's kind of flying like a superhero across the screen.
Thank you. So now all we have is our G and H to cut from our green. So I'm going to do those right here. The first one is a 2 by 9.5 inch rectangle. So I'm going to see if this is, this is not 9.5. I want to be able to cut it right off the edge of something, so that's not 9.5. So if I go here, this goes to 9.5, I can just cut this. Because I want to cut off as little as possible. So that's how I'm going to come up with that.
And we do have a couple questions now. Sue M is asking, what size papers is Kimberly using?
For the 9-inch block, for the half square triangle, I'm using the H150 triangles on a roll. If you're doing the 6-inch block, you would need the H100. And if you're doing the 3-inch block, you would need the HO50. For the 9-inch block, you need 1.5 by 3-inch paper, and that is ISE-775. Okay, so this is my G. And my H is 4 2 by 3.5. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 3.5. I'm gonna try to cut it from this so that I just have this left over. I think those fell off. We'll see. So 2 by 3.5. So I'm going to cut 3.5. And then a 4-inch and then a 2-inch. So those are my H's. Okay, I think I need that thing that I just put over there. Sorry. Those are my D's. I flicked it off the table. It's okay. Sorry. Okay, so this is how I have it labeled. So what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna try to do section by section. Now, if I was at home doing this, I would probably do a bunch of prep work at this point so I could just go to my sewing machine and do all of them at once. But so I don't confuse you too much, we're gonna start with step one. Step one is my triangles on a roll, and I'm going to stitch with an open toe foot on the dotted line with a 1.5 stitch length first. So I'm gonna do that. And whatever stitch length you usually use, just go down. Shorter. Okay, sewing machine's not working because there's no bobbin thread. Do we know where the bobbin thread is?
Oh, behind you.
Let me see. I'm gonna try this one. Okay, we're gonna try that again. See if it works. And it worked. So now I'm going to cut around the edges, and here you want to be as accurate as you can and cut directly on that line so that you get accurate results. If you cut, you know, a little bit off or, you know, not exactly, your triangles aren't going to come out as accurate as they would as if you cut on the line. So, and honestly, this paper is like, I love it. It's my favorite.
We have Peyton Jolly in the chat, and he said hi.
Hi, that's my son. He's so cute. They want to come on camera, but I told them they can't until COVID is over. I don't know what they want to do on camera. I bet they show up and they don't do anything. They'll be too shy. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside. We'll iron them later. Our second step is to do flying geese. Now I'm going to use our brand new flying geese paper that we made for accuracy. Okay, so for this one, if you're going to do a different size, if you're going to do a 3-inch size, we don't have paper for that size, so you would do the traditional method. If you're going to do the 6-inch size, you would buy the paper that finishes 1 by 2, and the paper that I'm using finishes 1.5 by 3. You basically take these fractions, take the numbers, take 1/2 inch off. So 2 minus 1/2 inch is 1.5. 3.5 by 1/2 inch is 3. So 1.5 by 3 is what I'm using for my 9-inch. You can also do this the traditional method, and that's totally fine too. So what I like to do with this new paper, or any of our foundation paper, not the triangles on a roll, but the foundation paper, is on all of the creases that you're going to be using. I like to create the crease before I start. So I'm going to do this. And I would love for you to check out Lori's video that she did on Friday that shows how to use the economy block paper, because her version of how she does her foundation paper is totally different than mine. And there's not a right way or a wrong way. For example, she puts the glue stick on the paper. I put it on the fabric. She uses a different glue stick. She cuts her fabric different than I do at a different point. So if you want a second view on how that works, that would be great, so that you could decide which one works best for you. So what I will do is turn my paper, now I can see where I need to be. And I'm going to put this fabric, which is my background, right side up, and just make sure it's within the lines. And then I'm going to put a little pin. Actually, no, I'm going to put glue stick. I just have to find the glue stick. No, we don't have the glue stick. Yeah, we do. Okay, here's this glue. That's not the glue stick, but it is the glue. No, that's not going to work either. Hold on. I'm trying to make it work. But yeah, they're gonna go get a glue stick because I don't think this is gonna work. Oh, there we go. I got it to work. So this is the glue stick insert that you can put it in your pen. So just write down to get one next week. And then I'm just gonna put this right there. That's gonna be my glue. And I'm gonna do that on both of these. And that will just make your fabric stay. You can either put the glue on the fabric or the paper. I just do whatever. That's so funny. This is my new glue stick. It's a stick on a pin. Look, it's a pin. So funny. Okay, y'all didn't get my joke. Okay, so now I'm gonna fold back two opposing. So doesn't matter. I mean, I'm doing the 2s. You could do the 3s. It really doesn't matter, to be honest, on this paper. Some of the paper, it does matter. So it looks like that. Do the same thing here. And then what I'm going to do is put a little glue right on this 1/4 inch. I mean, not the 1/4 inch, just the seam allowance. So there's like a little bit of glue there. And just put these down. And that way I don't have to think when I get to the sewing machine. And also, if you're mass producing this, meaning you're doing a ton, you could do a bunch and stack them and they don't move. Well, that just moved all the way off. But theoretically, that's pretty funny. It moved all the way off. There we go. So just put it back. And then here I'm going to use glue. So now what you do is turn this to the other side, stitch directly on the line, start a little bit before the line and a little bit after the line. My glue's not working very good today. I think it's because it's... Okay, so, and we're gonna stitch directly on these lines right here. So I'm gonna show you. For the line 2, I'm gonna start a little bit past the line, stitch, go a little bit past. Start here a little bit past, and then a little bit past, so your stitches don't come out. And right here, your fabrics are right sides together on this side. Do the same thing on the other one.
Wilma Evans is asking, will the glue gum up the needle?
No. It does not for me. And I use the Sewline glue. This is Sewline. Or Sew Daily. They're both the same. They're made by the same company. Same exact product. Okay. So here, we're going to turn the steam off, which is here. Press to one side. Now, theoretically, you want this block to be pressed open, but using this paper, one of your seams will have to be to one side. The second seam can be open, but the first cannot because of the way we do the paper. And since you're not using, you don't want to use steam because it will shrink your paper, but also it's not going to get as hot as fast without the steam. So you might have to put your iron on there a little bit more. So now I'm going to do the opposing seams. So I'll pull my paper back a little bit to the crease that I had already done and cut. Pull back a little bit and cut. Put some glue. And then do the same thing on the next one. And since I did these creases in the beginning, it makes it so much easier to fold it. You don't have to fight as much because you've already done the crease a little bit. It'll kind of like... And of course, you don't have to use glue. I just found that I feel like I have less mistakes where if sometimes I pin, it might move or something like that. Okay, so there we go. So now we're going to just flip that over. So, and again, start a little bit before and a little bit after. By sewing a little bit before and after makes it where your stitches won't come out later. If you don't, then your stitches might come up and then, you know, your block might not be as secure. And with this, I would just recommend trying it this way. And if you like the paper, great. If you don't, then just do the traditional way, and which is how we wrote the instructions. Oops, sorry, my machine came unthreaded.
Quilting in Romania is asking, what is the difference between these papers and flying geese on a roll papers?
This is our replacement for flying geese on a roll. I was not happy with the flying geese on a roll, so that's what we're going to do, is do this instead. I felt like that product was too complicated, so we're going to discontinue that. That was meant more for if you wanted to do like a big long table runner or something, and I felt it was too limiting. So we're going to do this paper instead.
And Callie, I'm sorry, I'm going to probably mispronounce your last name. Urquhart is asking, how many times can you use foundation paper?
Once, because you're about to cut it off and tear it apart, so you can only use it once. So now I'm going to cut on just the solid lines around the edge. So you have a little bit of waste, but not too much. And actually with this method, because you cut your squares in half, you actually use less than if you would have done the traditional method, because the traditional method you have to use the entire square. So
JP Thompson is asking, can you please explain how to know which papers to use for flying geese? Is it like triangles on a roll? Can you make them bigger and cut them down?
You could make them bigger and cut them down, but that would be a little advanced. What you do is take your unfinished size and take 1/2 inch off, and that tells you the size that you need. We could do a size guide too. I think they were working on a size guide actually. Okay, so when I cut, I didn't cut exactly straight right here. And so you can see there's a little bit of white that I missed. So I'm going to recut that so that it's more accurate. And then I would say when reviewing this product, now let's be fair, I made this product. So, I mean, I'm reviewing myself. But I would say this is nice to have. It's not essential to have. Flying geese paper for me is essential. I have to have it. So this is like something that's like bonus. Like if you were buying makeup, it's like the little extra, oh, sorry, Thunder. You coming to get us? Sorry, that's my life right now. I feel like everything's jinxing me. That was Thunder. But what I was going to say was, it's like if you're buying makeup. You need eyeshadow, but you don't necessarily need like a bronzer. So like to me, the Flying Geese paper is like a bronzer. You don't need it, but you can try it. And if you have the money and if you like it, great, get it. But you don't have to have it. So that's my review. Now, you can see that when we did the paper, we had to press out. Oh my goodness, the Thunder is really going to get us. So I'm going to put this on steam now, and I am going to take the very last seam we did and press that open just so that one side is open. You cannot press the other side open, but I'm going to do that just so that it lies a little bit flatter, but you don't have to. This is just, I'm trying to show you how to incorporate it by breaking the rules halfway, I guess. Is that Thunder really? That's like crazy Thunder. Ever since the power went out the other day, I'm telling you. That's the wrong one.
We have lots of new members and super chats. I'm going to go through those now. Okay. We have Cindy Metcalf, new member. Welcome, Cindy.
Yay, Cindy.
Miss Clerk 007, new member.
Thank you.
Super chat from Tracy Mengel, and they sit for $5, and they say, "Love all you do. You have a great team."
Thank you.
New member Indigo Salts.
She has to grab.
New member Melissa Malone. Welcome, Melissa. And super chat from Sue Sweeney for $5, and they say, "We all need to support FQS," and they put piggies emoji and a seam ripper. Oh, and your mom's in the chat now.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Hi, Mom. Peyton's in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to, before I press these open, these were the half square triangles we did at the beginning. I'm going to cut the little dog ears off. And I apologize for that noise. It is pouring down rain here. And then I will press these open. And when I'm done with the block, I will repeat all the sampler blocks at the end that we did at the beginning, since the first 10 minutes didn't capture. But I'll do that when I finish the block. This happens to be a tedious block. I don't think it's that hard. Well, I mean, maybe it is, but it's very tedious. So that took us 40 minutes just to do step 1 and step 2. So at home, don't get discouraged if it's taking a while, because we're just like got this done in 40 minutes. So now I'm going to move to step 3 in my pattern, and that is going to be like making a row. So you put 2 flying geese in the center, 2 half square triangles on the side, two fabric C's on the side, and then we need to sew all these with a 1/4 inch seam. So what I'm going to do is change my foot. So the foot I was using before was this open toe foot where you could kind of see what you were stitching when you were doing the lines, which we're going to need again, but for now I'm going to switch to a 1/4 inch foot. I've gotten a lot of questions on the 1/4 inch feet, and I have now discovered that Primitive Gatherings in California and Wisconsin sell them. You would go to primitivegatherings.us and they sell the 1/4 inch foot. So, and it works accurately because I bought one for myself with my own money, and it's great. So I'm going to actually buy one for work because I only bought one to try it out, and I need to buy one for work now. So what I'm going to do is just kind of sew pieces and put them back, or actually just sew. I'm going to kind of chain piece. I'm going to move my stitch length to like a 2.0. And sew these, then we'll press and then finish sewing. So I'm going to press these open, and then we'll come back and finish. So I just press flat, press to one side, and then we'll press open. I always press to one side before I press open, and the reason why is I don't want to burn myself. And I keep my iron really hot, and I have burned myself too many times so I know I will burn myself. So press open. And I will put my little clapper on there.
We have some more super chats that came in. First one is from Angie Anvar for $24.99. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you.
New member Jennifer Tompkins. Welcome, Jennifer. We got a super chat from Jen Bell for $5.
Thank you.
And super chat from Tracy Mengel for $5, and they say, I have glued Wonder Clips to one side of the alphabets to keep from losing them. I think they mean the alphabeties. Laureen Amen is asking, does Kimberly ever use headers and enders?
No, I don't. So that is where you take like a little scrap and put it under your machine, and it kind of makes your thread on your back neat. I don't do it because I feel like the Juki gives a really nice finish. So I don't. I mean, there have been times in my life where I have done it when I've had different machines. And Lori does a thing where she does different blocks and kind of has them, just does her blocks in between, but I don't. I think I have so many quilts going on that if I did that, I'd forget what I was doing. But a lot of people use leaders and enders. We have a video done by Doug Lico that actually talks about it and what he does. And so I think that's just personal preference. It's kind of like the flying geese paper and bronzer. It's like not a need to, but a want to. Or, you know, you don't have to, but you could. That kind of thing. Go ahead.
Super chat from Lindsay Brown for $4.99. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
And from Teresa, super chat for $25.
Oh my goodness, y'all.
And they say, I know it's been a rough start this morning, but deep breaths. We all love you and understand things happen. Thank you so much, Teresa.
Yeah, it does happen. And this week has been the week of happenings at my house and here. So now I'm going to go to this step, and it's G. So I put my G here. Yeah, I think this week has just not been a good week. And so I'm going to not go anywhere this weekend. I'm going to stay home. Not really. Actually, Emma she's teaching some kind of dance class or something tomorrow, and then she has dance Sunday. She has dance all weekend, basically. So I'm going to put these corners on, and I'm going to put these down. Now, what I do at home is I have on my machine right here, I'll show you. I can do it right here, and we'll do it because you can see it. If you put a washi tape on the bed of your machine like that, and you put it right in the center where your needle is, this can be your this can be your line that you sew on. So I'm going to actually draw the lines so that we have them, but show you this is a way to save time at home. Now, I always drew a line for years and years until I was comfortable enough to do the washi tape method. And whatever tape you put on your machine, just make sure it is like, you know, non-stick, because if you put a tape that's not, it's really hard to get off of that bed. So I'm going to draw these lines. It also is going to make it where I don't make a mistake. So I'm going to leave those there, and I'm going to move to the next one so that we can do two at one time. So the next is H. And we're going to make one of these and one of these. So always when you're looking at a fat quarter shop or It's So Emma pattern, always look right here where it tells you how many to make, so that you don't accidentally make two like this instead of make one and make one. And that's why we have such detailed patterns, because we don't want anybody to make a mistake. So we're going to use two of these, and we're going to do this one this way. And I'm just trying to save time here because I know this is taking forever. And then two Ds. So what I will do here is I'm going to draw the lines after I put them on the corner so that I can follow this and less likely make a mistake. You can draw the lines before, you can do however you want.
We have a new YouTube member, Christina Dodson. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you. So I'm going to just put pins in here, and then I'm going to go to the sewing machine and all at one time sew on all these lines and just use a regular, whatever my regular stitch length is. And switch back from the 1/4 inch foot to the open toe foot. It's technically not called an open toe foot, but that's what I call it.
Sarah Bush is asking, how do you decide when to use steam and when to not use steam when pressing?
I use steam all the time, except if I have a paper in the back, like a half square triangle or foundation paper. Some people don't use steam, but I love steam.
Denise Turk is asking, what is the update on the Lori Holt book stands? And we will be answering that later, so be sure to stick around.
Yep, we have it here. Actually, we have the only one that exists here. Maybe I have to sneak it out of the building if I want one. Now, what I was going to show you was, if you don't want to draw the lines, if you put this washi tape on your bed correctly, this little intersection right here, if you put it on the point on that paper, then you don't have to draw the line. So, like for example here, if you take this and keep it right on that paper, right on that washi tape, then you don't have to draw a line. You just have to get your washi tape in the right spot.
Maria Wells says, Teresa in the order department was a wonderful helper to me this week. She helped me in the chat box. Love FQS. And I think they mean Teresa in customer service.
Thank you. We will tell her. Now from here I need to cut these these seams off a 1/4 inch away. So one thing you can do is this. Use scissors. I don't like to do that for whatever reason. I like to use the little dotted lines on the Creative Grids ruler and just trim. I think it just gives it a cleaner look, and I can go faster with a rotary cutter than I can with scissors. And this weekend I cut myself with scissors pretty bad. Pretty bad, actually, really bad. So me and scissors don't get along as good as I get along with a rotary cutter. So now we're going to press all these open. And that friction pin, you see all that ink on the friction pin, it goes away with heat. So just set my seams flat, take the ink off, press to one side, and then press open.
We have a super chat from Ashell Bennett for $5, and it says you're number one, and there's like a little person that's holding their face and kind of smiling.
Aww.
And there's a couple little hearts around it.
Thank you.
And then we had a super chat from Patricia Lawson for $4.99. Thank you.
Thank you. That's my mom. So you can see when I'm ironing, I just take my time. I don't go too fast. I don't rock my iron. I'm going to get better results that way. And so I know this is taking a long time. It's almost an hour, but I'm going as fast as I can without making my block a bubble up in the back. Because if I go too fast, it's going to look bad. And I do want to use this in a quilt.
Leanne Olson says, good morning. I can't express enough how grateful I, as well as others, appreciate these hands-on Fridays. It so helps as I'm a visual learner. I know it takes time and planning, so thank you to everyone who makes this possible for all.
Thank you. So I just need to add the top, the E's going the other way. So I just need to do this one and this one. So I'll draw the lines and sew those on, and then we should be ready to do the center.
And we had 2 new members join. Barbara Harrelson. Welcome, Barbara. And Debbie Hartz. Welcome, Deborah. Sorry, Debbie.
I just dropped my sewing machine foot.
People are asking where they can get the 1/4-inch foot.
Primitive Gatherings. Google Primitive Gatherings, Wisconsin.
And we will add that to the Amazon shop after the live stream today, so be looking out for that.
No, we're not going to add it to Amazon shop.
Never mind.
We're going to actually order direct from Lisa Bonjean because the one on Amazon is not as good as the one that I got at Lisa Bonjean's store. So that's just primitivegatherings.us. Okay, so now I'm going to line up right there. We're going to do that. So I'm just going to line these up. Points in the middle. And then I double, triple check to make sure I've got these points in the middle. I've got a heart. I've got this. And I'm going to start sewing that, but I'm also going to start building the block. So I'm going to build the block this way. So to save time, when I'm at home, you can sew these seams, but you can also sew these 2 together. And I think I've got it the right way. So let's see, that goes that way, that goes that way. So I'm going to actually pin these together. So I'm going to put these 2 together. And I'm going to pin on the side that has fewer seams. Now you can see that I've got it's thicker on one side than the other. Just stretch it, pin in the center, and then pin throughout. Now that wouldn't have happened at home, I can tell you that, but since I'm on camera, I probably, so you can see kind of how it's bubbly on one side and flat on the other. Once I sew it, it'll even out. It should not be that way. That's not the way I would encourage you to sew. But I think that sewing standing up, so I'm going to sew these 2 seams and then these, and then we'll iron. Switch back to a 1/4-inch foot.
A super chat from Randy E just came in for $5, and they say, Kimberly, you are unflappable.
Thank you. I'm what?
Unflappable.
I'm flappable. This camera's on. Let's see. Now normally I would pin these, but well, I'm gonna pin. This next one we definitely have to pin. So this one we have to pin at this intersection and this intersection, so that, and you can see right here that I have a little bit of dog ears kind of peeking through, and I shouldn't have that, but I'm going to cut those off so that I can get a more accurate result. And I can see that right here, that's not straight. See right there? That's not straight. So I'm going to get this white off so that it'll get, if I don't do that, it's not going to be as accurate. So I will kind of nest the seams, but not really nest it because you're not. And put green with green and white with white and pin directly at that intersection. Do the same thing at the top of the heart. And then we'll hope that this comes out lined up.
Wilma Evans is asking, when one side is a little longer than the other, what went wrong?
That means that I took too big of a seam allowance here somehow. But you can see that when I iron it, it's going to go flat. So when I sew standing up, that happens. I'm just making sure my points match before I iron. Please tell me this one matches. It does. So it just means that I just was not as accurate. It should be totally flat. Like that shouldn't have happened. So here when I make it flat, it keeps the seams nice and flat. Press to one side. And when I've got a lot of bulk here, I've got lots of seams. See how I'm going really slow? You have to kind of go slow and then press open. But it is best that you just go nice and slow. Even with a block like this, if I'm at home, I would try to still be calm and still, you know, don't get frustrated that it's taking forever. So there, I'm gonna actually put this on there.
Scatter Vanshine is asking, if you want to make a 12-inch block, would you just double the size of the 6-inch pieces?
No, that wouldn't work. You would actually have to double it and minus a quarter inch, and it won't work on all of them, all the pieces. You have to like sit and do the math. It's more complicated than that. There's something on the iron that it's getting on the fabric. The iron's dirty. See that brown? So on the bottom of the iron is black, right there. Now water's coming out, but see that? That's getting on my fabric. So, I'm going to try to get it off. I think we sell something to get it off with. So we're going to try to get that, but I'm actually going to try to rub it off now without that. It's not coming off. Let's see. That iron off hot iron cleaner, try that one. I'm gonna try that. So it's not coming off, but that's okay. We will just, I'm gonna try not to use the top of the iron, and then we're gonna try to clean that off and see if we can get it cleaned off. see it's getting on there. Do you have another iron in here? I'm gonna use this. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna do this instead of the iron. Yeah, okay, we're gonna try a different iron for now, and then I'll clean that iron and see if we can get it clean. You gotta plug it in. Where do we plug in? Okay, so we're gonna try a different iron that I'm not familiar with, but that's okay. We're gonna, thanks, improvise. Now this right here should be pressed open, but it didn't, but okay. I'm gonna turn this iron on to max with steam. I don't know anything about this iron. It's a reliable, I've never used it. I have no idea, but I don't want my blocks to have this brown stuff that got on there. It is flaking off, but it's not ideal. Let's see. Are there any questions that I can answer while this is heating up?
Phyllis Curley is asking, did Kimberly receive her platinum Juki yet?
I did, and I love it. I have used it. I love it. And nobody noticed. I asked my kids when they would come in my sewing room, do you notice anything? And they're like, no. None of them noticed it. But yeah, I love it.
Sarah D. Flynn is asking, are you putting together the quilt as the pattern is written?
Yes.
Or okay.
Do you want to try it? Okay, Denise is going to try to see if we can get it clean on the side. We're just using a scrap piece of fabric and a product we've never used, so we'll tell you if it works or not. So this iron is obviously not as hot, but we're gonna make it work.
Super chat from Susan Phillips for $4.99. Love FQS. Could you please put a link to your Amazon shop?
Yes. So this iron is just not as hot, so I'm going slower, but it's enough. I'll have to set it up like this, and then we're trying to fix the other iron, and we'll see if we can.
Con Cook is asking, does Kimberly's mom quilt?
She does embroidery. So on this side, I'm gonna make this even before I attach it. It just looks like I wasn't very accurate. And I'll put these right sides together and pin, stitch, add the other side, pin, is it coming off? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, now this one's hot.
Gay Casper is asking, how big is your sewing room at home?
It's a bedroom, so it's just the size of a normal bedroom. I don't know the size of it. It's meant for, it's like a room that was built for like a mother-in-law suite, so that like if your mother-in-law lives with you, it's got its own bathroom and stuff.
And we do have a video on our channel of Kimberly's sewing room, so be sure to check that out.
So just looking at this block, I can tell it's a mess. These are not flat because it's not the iron I'm used to. It's not, it's just not, you can tell it's not straight at all. You can tell it's just a mess. So we're trying to fix the other iron. You think it's done? Yeah. Okay, so I'll show you what she did, and we're gonna switch irons, but don't burn yourself when you grab it. Okay, so what Denise did, do you want to give me that piece of paper? Yeah. The fabric? Fabric, I meant. So what Denise did was she took a scrap piece of fabric that we had. See that black? That was what was on the iron. She put this on there, like she just put it on like Vaseline or something, and then she set and ironed and it came off. So we're gonna go back. So this is called Dritz Iron Off Hot Cleaner. No, I can't read. Oh, it says Iron Off Hot Iron Cleaner, and then here it just says Hot Iron Cleaner. So I'm gonna take this home, and I'm gonna order more of that because we know it works now. And I'm gonna try to fix my block.
You may want to test an iron piece before you put it on.
And you can see that it's off. Yeah, it's off. It's good. Okay, so now look at the difference in the irons. Look at that. It's flat. Thank you. Now it's flat. We're gonna try to get it. See how that's like not flat? We're gonna get it flat before we move on. And this doesn't mean that this iron is better than the other iron. It means that this is what I'm used to, and I'm a creature of habit. I do not like change. That's one thing in my life that is like, I don't like change. When there's a lot of change, my brain does not handle that well. But now look how much better it looks. It's still not, you can kind of see it's still kind of wavy. But that's okay, we're gonna go with it. That is a hot mess of a block if you want to know the truth. That does not look good, but that's okay. We're gonna just go with it. So I'm gonna put this right sides together. See how that does not meet up? See that? Look at that. That's a 1/4 inch bigger on that side. So that's a hot mess. And you can tell that it's not even straight on the side. So what I'm gonna do is turn it over, use the side that has the least amount. That always goes on top so you can ease it in. So I will pin first on the two sides. Now, if I was at home and this happened, I would probably start all the way over. I would probably just start over and cut more accurately. But here, you want this intersection right here to kind of line up with this green. So you want the 1/4 inch and the 1/4 inch to line up. You can either draw a line or guess. Since it's, I mean, doesn't have to be perfect on this one. Since it's already a mess, I'm just gonna leave it a mess.
Super chat from Kimberly Culp, and they say for $2.05, and they say look forward to FQS live streams every week.
Thank you. So now when I stitch this, after I get to this first point, it has to ease in. So right here, I'm gonna pull it. See how I pulled it? Oh, go to the front camera real quick, if you can. Okay, we're just gonna go with it. So I'm gonna pull it. And I just pull it, and that's gonna keep it kind of flat. And I mean, my points don't match up exactly, but I'm gonna just go with it today. Do the same thing over here. So this block is much easier to do at 9 inches, but you can see even with 9 inches, mine's a mess. So it's just a lot of seams, a lot of points. Maybe at the beginning, I probably didn't cut very accurately is what I would think that's why this block is like this.
Irene Mattoon says, I see that you use the wood clapper. Does it improve your blocks?
Yes, it is basically maple wood, and it only works if you put it on when the iron is hot. It absorbs the heat and makes your block flat. And I only show stuff on this video that I absolutely recommend. I do not show any products on here that I don't recommend. And I love my clappers. If I didn't have my clappers, I'd probably cry. So I do love them. Okay. So we're going to try to iron this flat and then trim it up and then be done with this block. Next week's is just as hard. And in fact, next week's is harder. So, see that? Okay. I'm going to pull that out. So that is not, that's supposed to be flat. So I'm going to seam rip that out and that little seam right there and make it flat so it's not ugly on the front. This is the messiest block I have ever made. It's horrible. So we're going to try to make it flat and see. But will you take the sewing machine, Denise? Mm-hmm. And then this, I'm going to keep this though. And you can see on the back, there's these little brown spots. But they're on the back, so
I'm going to super chat from Janet Buster for $24.99, and they say, thank you, Kimberly, and all the FQS staff for such great tutorials.
Thank you. I'm going to be embarrassed all weekend. I'm going to tell you all that. I'm going to be embarrassed all weekend for this block. It's a mess. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to try to trim this up. But when you have a block, you shouldn't have it. It shouldn't be wavy like that. That is absolutely not. This is kind of straight, but this is definitely wavy. See how that it's like a girl with hips. She's got hips here, and then this girl has a flat butt. So these two are fine, and this is not. So, sorry, but it's what it looks like. Oh, gosh, I gotta make a joke somehow. Okay, so I'm just gonna chop that off. And here's my fat butt girl. See that? Ugh, it's a mess. This block is horrible. Okay, so there's my block. It's horrible, but I think it will quilt. That is like not the way it's supposed to be. But I think that once Gina quilts it, it'll be fine. So I am going to go back and show you all of the quilts blocks that were made and how they should look. So this is the one we did on camera, and it's a mess. I am actually probably going to redo it at home. We'll see. This is how it should look. This uses Homestead fabric by April Rosenthal and SKU 20708-36 as my white on white background. And so you can see, this is how it should look. It should be nice and flat. If you compare it to this, it's just not as good. So these are the ones that I made at home. So I can make the block. So there's the one. Oh, and then look at this. You'll see. Look at the difference in the size of the block. 1/4 inch off. 1/8 of an inch off. So it's just, but it'll work. Oh, I don't know. It'll work. So that is the block. The block is called Hearty. It's designed by Yoder. And here are the blocks by our sample makers. And when you are sewing this block this weekend, what would be best is to pick a fabric that is not too busy. So you can see this is not very busy and that's not very busy, but this is busy. So you can't even see the design in the block. It's totally lost. You can't even see the points, anything. So that is my blocks. Let me know what questions you have and then we'll just move on to the next section. And I apologize for all of that hot mess of what I just did.
Linda Dupron is asking, Kimberly, do you ever make strip sets? If you do, any pointers?
I do strip sets. And what I do, sorry. What I do with strip sets is I cut them 1/8 or 1/4 inch wider and then sew my strip set together and then trim it down. At some point I will have to show that. I'm not sure when, but I do that all the time. And on the American Gathering, actually the American Quilters Sew Along, that Lisa Bonjean will be starting in March. That has been moved to March because the bundles are not in stock yet. I'm sewing along with that, and that is how I did those flag strips. Cut them bigger and then trimmed down. But it's an extra step. But my blocks look good.
Funny suggestion from Sarah D. Flynn. They said that your block that you just made would make a great snack mat.
A snack mat? That's cute.
And then we have a few super chats. The first one is from Sarah Grauble for $10. And they say, took today off work because it's my birthday. This is my first time catching FQS behind the seams live instead of replay.
Happy birthday.
Super chat from Diet Snyder for $5. And they say, I'm loving the real life tutorial.
Thank you.
And from Bumble Stitches, $4.99, I believe that's euros. And they say, Kimberly, you're a superstar for powering through. Thank you for sharing real life sewing with us.
Thanks. Yeah, so that's what happens at home sometimes is, and I haven't had a good week. I've actually had a horrible week, if y'all want to know the truth. Just a lot of stuff going on at home, a lot of stuff going on at work, a lot of stress, a lot of decisions to be made, and so when it's like that, like if I was at home, I would have either stopped or walked away for at least an hour and then started completely over. Now, obviously, if you have a deadline, you can't do that. But I haven't had the best week, but like my motto is stay positive. Think of, like just you got to power through. So no matter how hard life is or what roadblocks come in your way, you just got to power through it and not think about it. But it does affect the sewing, and you can see that. Okay, so I want to show you our Best Friends Quilt Along. We're at the very last week, so we have now released the finishing pattern. And I am going to show you my blocks again, Lori's blocks again, and then I'm going to show you the backing. So these are my blocks. Thanks. And we are going to sew this quilt into one quilt this weekend, her blocks plus my blocks, and we're going to auction that off for Make-A-Wish. And I'm going to be frank with you guys. I'm going to bid. So I'm going to be bidding against you guys because I do want the quilt. So I'm going to see. So these are my blocks. The only way that I know these are my blocks is I pulled the paper off in my office. So that is the only way that I know the difference. And the best thing about the Best Friends Quilt Along is because you're using foundation paper, your blocks are going to come out the same size, unlike the two that I just showed you right now where I totally messed up and they weren't the same size. So those are my blocks. And here are Lori's blocks, and her paper is still on. And I used Aurifil 2000, which is cream, and she used Aurifil color 2024, which is white. And she left the paper on because when she mailed it, it keeps them together so that it won't, you know, like if you mailed this versus this would bend easier than this. So we'll pull the paper off before we sew it together. And you can see that our blocks come out exactly the same size because we used paper. And so no matter if you're, so basically it's a great, if y'all are doing like a charity quilt for your church or, you know, where you sew blocks and put them together, using paper will give you accurate results. So I'm going to show you her blocks. We used the same fabric. We used her B backgrounds and B basics. We used a layer cake, and so I have a lot left over, which I'm going to show you what I did with it in an upcoming segment. But we are going to be auctioning this off. It'll be a couple of weeks because we got to get it put together. We got to get it quilted and bound, and Gina is going to be doing that for us. So these are our blocks, and I'm excited to show you the back. So first I want to show you this label. Lori showed it on her video Friday. It is from the Be Happy collection, and it's a panel that has labels. So we sold out of it within a couple hours of her releasing her video. We do have it on reorder, but it is a panel from her Vintage Happy 2 collection. So she put Best Friends Quilt made by Lori Holt, and she sent me her pin. It's a Micron 05. It doesn't, it's permanent, 2021. So I pieced the backing, and I'm going to show you what I did with the backing. I don't even remember, if y'all want to know the truth. I made this a long time ago. So what I did, because I used the layer cakes, I always like her text print, so I made the text up here. When we started the sew along, we weren't really sure what we were going to do, so I had made these extra. So I put these in the center, and then on the side, these were leftover layer cakes. So I just kind of took what it was left over, because I cut strips, and then put that here. And then she put the label right here. And then she appliqued it down on top. Now, right here, I also have my name right here, because this is where I got my Sweetwater label and sewed it into a block. So actually my block was done, and I unsewed that little section and sewed it in. So this is sewn in, this is appliqued on top. This is what's going to go on the back, and then obviously the words are all face up. So I have that on the other side also, and that's just a 40. That's part of her B backgrounds, but it's a 44-inch wide fabric.
And people are asking if you could remind them of the fabric line that you used.
B Basics by Lori Holt and B Backgrounds by Lori Holt. I used a layer cake of each, and I had plenty of leftovers because I only made half the blocks, and I sewed it into something. Well, first I sewed the backgrounds here. These are my leftover backgrounds, and that way I didn't have to buy as much backing because I could just cut my backing in half. And then I'm going to show you in a little bit, what I did with some of my leftovers. And then we're going to move to that part. So the next part is I'm going to show you, actually not that, I'm going to show you this next. This is our Sparkle Star paper by Lori Holt, and you can see on the front we show it with prints and then white stars. And when this paper came out, I got so excited that I made a quilt with it. I made this all in one day. This is Lori's foundation paper, but I did it totally different. So Lori came up with this. And so I like my quilting super small. So let's see. So this uses Flea Market collection, and this background is 9711 Cottage. And then these points were from the Flea Market layer cake. And Gina put in a pink binding. I think it's coral. I'll have to write it down in my book. And it's 5 blocks by 5 blocks. And the label on the back I had put on crooked. So I'm trying to find it. Oh, it's right there. So I had sewn this on top. So I took a Sweetwater label, put borders on it, used a hot hammer ruler, folded it down, and stitched on top. And this is 108 inch wide. So I just wanted to show you guys that it is quilted by Gina. So if you make this, you could send it to her and she could do the same pantograph. It's really pretty. So you can, I'll show you on the front camera too. So it's so pretty, so I can take it home now. So I just used 25 blocks and it's all scrappy, just used a layer cake. And I just sometimes when stuff comes in, I get excited and make it. So I got excited. And I like the back. I love pink. So even if, you could even put this on the back of a couch and nobody would even see the front. Bless you. So that is Sparkle Star, and I use the Sparkle Star paper. The next thing I worked on is what started this week. I made this yesterday. And yesterday, because I was so stressed out, I made the block completely wrong and ran out of fabric. So I am just a mess. But what I did was, this is the brand new Riley Blake Block Challenge. We have provided a link. They have a blog post that has the fabric requirements, and these are their confetti solids, but I didn't want to use solids. So, and this tells you the designers, the names of the the block number, and then what fabrics they use. So if you want to do it, you can download this from their site. And then this has the block designer's name. So block 1 is from Jedi Craft Girl. And this is the block. So I printed this out, so this is free. There are going to be 16 total blocks, and I know that because it is on here. So I'm going to do my setting 4x4, and I have already picked my fabric, so I'm going to show you my fabric. I did go back and forth on the fabric and what I wanted to do. This is Lori's Prim collection, and I do have all of it, but I decided to just work with pinks or coral, sea glass, and pebble. So I played with electric quilt, and this is what I came up with. So this is the block, and the way that I made the block, I pressed open and I pressed the triangles open. For the triangle paper, you need, hold on, B and D, 2-inch finished. So I used 2-inch finished, and then these I just pressed to one direction. I probably should have pressed open here so that would have been flat against here. See how that's pressed to one side? So I probably should have pressed the whole thing open. The blocks all finish at 10 inches and unfinish at 10.5. So this is my first block. And what I've decided to do is this. This is going to be my background for the entire quilt. and it is, let's see, 9710 Pebble. For my blocks, I'm going to somehow figure out, now I haven't seen all the blocks, but I'm going to somehow figure out how to use these 3 prints. So I'm going to use 9698 Sea Glass, 9697 Pebble, and 9704 Coral. So I bought half a yard of both of these, and I bought 1.5 yards of this because this is going to be my binding. I was thinking about a pink and white check binding, but when I drew it up, I didn't think it looked that good. And then I decided this will be my backing, and then this will be my sashing. So I'm super excited. So that's a completely free sew along. So I would encourage you to use your stash, go to Riley Blake's blog. There's going to be 16 different designers, and every Tuesday for the, well, actually 3 a month, the first 3 Tuesdays of each month. So if there's, the last Tuesdays will not be shown, and one of the months has 2 Tuesdays that are in the last. I'm using the Prim collection by Lori Holt, and it started this week. So next week I'll bring next week's block. So I hope you sew along with me with that. Are there any questions on that?
People are asking for more information about your quilting journal.
Oh, okay. So this is my quilting journal, and I started a new one for 2021. So I haven't filled it out yet. I haven't gotten that far. But one of the things that I struggle with is I have so much going on that I can't remember anything. So even yesterday I had to ask Lori, did I use layer cake or charm pack for the points? So the one thing that I didn't put in here is my rickrack, but I try to put as much detail as I can in here so that if you guys ask questions, like Ashley can take a photo of this and then she can answer because I've written it all down in one spot. And so that I can just remember what I did. And so I put like 5 blocks by 5 blocks. Blocks released free weekly on Riley Blake blog. Now I do write it in pencil so that if, if I change my mind, I can just change it. And this is kind of one of those selfish things that I did at Fat Quarter Shop where I created this because I needed it. And so I selfishly make it to sell, but I selfishly make it so that I can sell it to myself because I need everything in one spot. And so this is my 2021 book.
Candy Albog is asking, did Kimberly starch the fabrics for this backing?
Yes.
And they're, I think they're asking about the Best Friends quilt.
Okay, so on the Best Friends quilt, I starched all of my fabric, including the backing, and Lori did not. So when it washes, it might shrink differently. And that's just because that's how we do it, so. Okay, so the next thing is Scrappy. And this is exciting. So for every year, I come up with something to use my leftover scraps. So this is what I came up with this year. Jocelyn designed it. It's 2021 Swirling Stars. And you can get this free at Fat Quarter Shop or our blog. And obviously you can add more blocks or fewer blocks. We're using the H550 and the H275 paper. What I'm trying to do with this is use up all of my scraps, but only use each fabric in a print section once, which is going to be really hard because this quilt is I'm going to run out of, if I use every single fabric, I will run out of space. So this is one of my blocks. This is using all of the leftover fabric from the Figs and Shirting quilt that I'm going to show you next because I have made all the blocks. And so what I did is I have used each fabric one time, and then whatever is left over I cut up and put in my scrap bin. So this is one block, and this is my leftovers from Figs and Shirtings, like I said, that quilt. And that's the one I hadn't shown you. This block is left over from, let me think of what that's left over from. I don't know what it's left over from something from last. Oh, I know what it's left over from. So we have an upcoming Jolly Bar 3 sew along. It's our Jolly Bar book 3 that's coming out in a couple of weeks, and we did a table runner from it. So these are all my leftovers from that because I've already sewn that. And each of my backgrounds will be different. I'm going to try to do them where they're not too busy, but this is cream, this is white, this is a totally different white. So they're going to all have different backgrounds. And it'll all kind of go together. So that is that one. This is also left over from the same collection. So there's 3 blocks. And then these 2 blocks are left over from the Best Friends Quilt Along. So this background is busier. So that's, I'm going to show you all the different backgrounds. And when it goes together towards the end of the year, it will look fine. So I am going to actually sew some of these together this weekend, but I obviously will not sew this one next to this one because they're the same collection. So I'll space them out in the quilt. But if I have enough blocks, I will sew stuff together this weekend. We'll just see how many blocks, if I have enough. And this one is also left over from the Best Friends Sew Along with a different background. So it's whatever background I have left over in my stash so that I don't buy anything for this project. And when I sew it together, I won't sew this one next to this one because they're the same collection. And then this one is left over from last year's Sewcialites 3-inch blocks that I made. And so this one's all orange. And it will all blend together nicely. So I so far have, I think, 6 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 blocks, 3 big, 3 small, and I'm excited. So that is my sew along. I hope you guys join me with it. It is so fun to use scraps. And I will be showing it to you like every other week, or as I make blocks, as I finish a project. The one thing that I am doing is waiting until I'm totally done with that project before I cut up my scraps so that I only use it once, because the quilt comes out pretty big, 66 by 88. So if I start using fabrics twice, that quilt's going to be like 100 inches, and I don't have anywhere to put a 100-inch quilt. Another thing I worked on is this. Oh, so exciting. This is a Quilting Life. This is another free sew along, just like Riley Blake's, and she does this every year. This is her 2021 version, and she came out with this block yesterday. And same thing I do with Sewcialites. She gives 6-inch and 12-inch instructions, and so you can see that I covered up my 6-inch so I wouldn't make a mistake. So for this block, I'm using the Flea Market Fabric Collection by Lori Holt. She gives 2 size options, 6 and 12. Because the Flea Market print has bigger prints, I'm using the 12-inch. And she's Sherry McConnell is the designer of A Quilting Life. She releases the patterns on the 7th of each month. Now to make this block, what I did, I'm going to show you what I did. Let's see. Is I draw it out in electric quilt. I don't have that page, but I do have the other page, and I'll show it to you in a little bit. I draw it out in electric quilt. I'm going to try to use this brown in every block as an accent, and I'm going to use this background throughout. So this was block 1, and on block 1, I print out my page, and then this is my electric quilt drawing. So I draw it to make sure it looks okay. Obviously, it's not to scale, but I do that before I make the block. So this was my block 1 picture, and I had this little doohickey on this, and then I moved this paper over here, so when I get to block 3, I'll move this paper to cover it up. So this one, what I did is I used the H150 triangles on a roll for all of these half square triangles. I pressed to the dark, except on all of these browns, you have to press open for them to nest, or for these seams to not oppose. And then I just press these towards the dark and the corner. Now, this block would probably look a lot better if I would have just pressed it flat, but the day I made it, I didn't feel like it, so I didn't. And on the background fabric, all the fabrics go in different ways, and this is a fun sew along that's completely free. And there are, I'll show you block 1 and block 2 next to each other. So I'm excited about that. So again, Sherry McConnell, A Quilting Life. And let me know if there's any questions on any of that before I keep going.
About the Riley Blake block challenge, Melanie Clark Evans is asking, what fabric is the sashing?
Can I have my book? I have my book. Okay, hold on. Okay, tell me again. Oh, my sashing.
Your sashing, yes.
9702 Pebble. My binding is 9698 Sea Glass, and my backing is 9694 Sea Glass.
Wendy Artis is asking, my favorite color is Moda book. Is it the same pattern as what's in the kit, or do you need both? Will the kit have enough fabric to starch? Thanks.
Moda book?
The my favorite color is Moda.
Oh, the booklet. It's over here. Can you hand it to me? It's in that box. Sorry. Hand me the block too. I'll just go ahead and show it. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and skip to this now. So she was talking about, this is my favorite color is Moda booklet. So in the book, it's going to give you instructions to make this quilt that looks like this. They have several different colored versions using their Bella Solids on their website. I am going to make it totally different than what they're doing. So if you want to starch, I would buy an 1/8 or 1/4 inch more than all of this if you want to starch. Now what I'm doing, and I'm going to show you this again next week. I didn't mean to show you this week, but I'll show you anyway. We have a brand new club called the Low Volume Fat Quarter Club. So I took the first month's club, and this is block 1. It's ginormous. Look at it. Okay, so show in the front camera. It's ginormous. And I'm going to read you what I did. So I'm going to do it different than them. I'm not going to do solids. So what I did was I used the Low Volume Fat Quarter Club. There's 16 fat quarters you get a month, and these are my leftovers. So some I have a little bit left over, some like this I just have a little bit left over, some I have a lot left over. I did not use these 4 fabrics for whatever reason. I'm going to use them in a future block. And this is what I have left over from the 12 fat quarters I used. So you get 16 fat quarters a month. And this is my leftovers of what I used. And these are the ones I will use next month. And so for block 1, I used H600 triangles on a roll. I pressed my half square triangles open. And I chain pieced and pressed each rows to different sides. So everything's pressed open except when I got to my rows, I just pressed different directions. And I am going to make this for Kevin's sister. Her name is Angela, and she lives in San Francisco. And I've given his other sister a quilt, so I'm making this one for his other sister, and she likes things very modern. Her house is modern, so that's what, and so I encourage you to make whatever you want out of this. The question though is, if you buy the kit that Moda put together, will you have enough to starch? And I don't know the answer. I would just, if you do starch and you run out, all of your colors are on the back so you can buy more. That's what I would say. But I'm doing it just different because I just thought about it. And at Christmas, last Christmas in 2019, I gave Melinda a quilt. That's one of his sisters. And then I thought, what did I make last year that his other sister would like? And nothing, because she doesn't like anything like pinkish or aqua. So I thought, well, I'll just make something. So I thought this is pretty fun. And using backgrounds would be really fun. So I'm making that for his sister for this Christmas. And I'll show you more next week because we are just now shipping out the low volume club like around next week. That's why I hadn't shown it yet. And I will use some of those backgrounds somehow in the swirling stars. I'm not sure how yet though. Did I answer everything?
Yes.
Sorry, we got ahead of ourselves. Or I got ahead of myself.
Chris R. is asking if you would consider doing a sew along with Sew by Row.
We are going to do a sew along, but sew by row. So with sew by row, I don't have that here. It's all in my office. It is a block of the month. It is also a booklet so that you could sew it with your own fabric. So I am going to be sewing all of the blocks and sewing along with you guys. And I think that starts like May, March, sometime later in the year. But yes, we will have a sew along. And all the information will be on a blog post. I'm not sure if that blog post is up yet or not. It might be too soon. I can't remember.
And then we have a super chat from Gloria Smith for $20. And they say, I can't say enough about how much this new quilter has learned from Kimberly. I love, love, love the foundation paper. Also doing the Best Friends Quilt Along. Rock on FQS.
Thank you. So I'm going to show you some more sew alongs that we have. So we have the Stronger Together program and the quilt is behind me. And we're on week 1 of that sew along. And week 1 of the quilting is the stars. So here are my stars. And 100% of the proceeds of the quilt pattern and the cross stitch pattern go to UNCF. And the mission of UNCF is to increase the total number of African American college graduates. And so it's a 4-part downloadable PDF, and it includes biographies of notable African American quilt makers. So these are my 8 blocks. Nine blocks. So those are my 9 blocks, and you can do any color you want. You don't have to make the quilt kit. We are short quilt kits. We are hoping more will come back. We only received half of our shipment, which is why we don't have all of the quilt kits, but we're hoping that any day we get more. This is the speckled collection from Mershida Coleman Hale of Ruby Star Society, and that collection just went into reprint and we just got more of it and it's selling like crazy. Now, if you wanted to do your own colors, we did a coloring sheet for you, and you can just pick, you would put your little swatch down here and then you could pencil color it in. So we're on week 1 of that. Now this one isn't free. Like I said, this is a paid pattern and the money goes to UNCF. And we will let you know how much we donate in March. Another sew along that's also not free. So I kind of put the frees together and the non-frees together. Sorry, Denise is laughing at me, but hey, that's what I gotta do. So this one's not free. This one is the Figs and Shirtings collection. It's called Stitchery Sampler, and this sew along is hosted by Joanna, and we are selling the quilt kit, and I am on, we're on block 5. So I wanted to show you last week's block was supposed to be the English paper piecing. I made my version using Sewcialites 3-inch blocks. And like I said, I want to keep up with this. So I took this block home and added my sashing. This is this week's block. And when I take it home, I'm gonna add it and then add a sashing so that when I have row 1 done and row 2 done, I can put them together. Now what I did on this block to save, I chain pieced. But when you chain piece and you're only doing 3 rows, it might not be worth it, but I did chain piece, and I decided to use red in the cornerstones. And this was the quilt that we photoed that Joanna's team made, and I'm just making it the same way. You could make it like the cover or the photo. So I'm excited about this. Very excited. So I'm going to take that home today and keep working on that one. And I'm going to show you all the new stuff that we have. I'm so excited about these things. This is the brand new flea market. Nope. This is the brand new My Happy Place ironing board cover. So I'm going to open it. And you could save this. This kind of bag is great to save for when you go travel and you need to put your dirty clothes in. So here it is. I'm taking it home so I can open it. That's what I said. Sorry. I'm trying to tell jokes. Okay, so here it is. So you put it on your ironing. What you do is you cover it. You get your kids to hold down all the sides, and then you yank this, and it squeezes it down. So you pull this to make it collapse onto your ironing board. So I'm going to put this on the ironing board that I have in my bathroom where I starch. I'm so excited. This is going right home with me. And it's pretty, it's got like fleece on the back, and then this is thick. I love it. Oh my gosh. Love it. It's mine. Taking it home. The next thing I'm excited about, we're going to show from the front camera, is the Bee's Knees book stand. So look, this is what I did. I'm going to take it home. It's all mine. So this, we did a book stand for Lori about 2 years ago. And it was aqua, and that's great. But now we're going to do blossom, which is pink, and then when that sells out, we'll do another color and another color and another color. But they're definitely limited edition. We make a certain amount. Once they sell out, we're going to move to the next color. So this one is coming in March. It's got her bee logo, and it stands up. It's metal. This is her needle minder, so that doesn't come with it, but that's on there for me. So that's exciting. A new panel that came in this week by Stacy Itsu is called Be Mine, and it's super cute. You can make it with your kids, and it basically is like a mailbox that you could put your Valentine's in. So it's a great kid project. We also got 2 new charms by Lori Holt, and we got more of the Beekeeper inserts. That's not a new product, it's just we got more. And this is her new Beekeeper binder. And so I'm going to take this one home also. When I do sew-alongs, I have binders going on. So I have like Sewcialites, and then I can use this one. And this is meant, you put it in here, and you can put your notions in here, and you could put her Sew Simple shapes if you want. That's not new. Again, that's just we restocked them, and they're hard to keep in stock. I'm just letting you know. We get them as we can. So let me know what questions you guys have. I'm so sorry that this went over 2 hours. Oh my goodness.
Denise Stockstill is asking, did you use the Flying Geese paper on the blocks for the Stronger Together quilt?
No, because they don't fit. The sizes are a little bit off, so I don't think they fit.
Maisie D is asking if the Stitchery Sampler kit is advanced.
With the English paper piecing and the applique, that's what adds to the difficulty of it. So if you look at that on the top camera, this is difficult and this is difficult. Everything else is very beginner. I will say on this one, this block, don't make it until you watch my video. I think there might be a mistake in the pattern, and I made that block twice. One the way that the pattern is, and one the way that I think the pattern was supposed to be. So I would wait until, don't do that one yet. Don't tell Joanna I said that.
Jacqueline Yvonne Woodard is asking if the book stand is a pre-order.
It's not, but you can click to be notified when it comes in stock. It's not going to sell out because we buy enough for distributors, and other stores. So it's not one of those items that is going to sell out in the first like week or something.
Robin Jones is asking, when will the Panasonic 360 iron be back in stock?
So we did get a shipment of those. So email Denise at fatquartershop.com and she'll look up the exact one that you're looking for. We can ask David at Brewer. But basically we got a shipment in. Some of the colors they discontinued. So there was like an aqua. So the one that's teal, that's not going to come back in stock. So we actually need to take that offline. The blue is going to be back in stock and the black is going to be back in stock. But if you email the exact number you're looking for, we can find out. But we did get a shipment sold out, and depends what color you're looking for because they did discontinue some of the colors. The teal, we had 2 a couple of days ago, and then they told me it was discontinued when I tried to reorder. So guys, have a great weekend. Thanks for stitching with me today, and I'll see you next week.